Hi everyone, you're welcome to our channel. Once again, we are discussing project management. And for today, we are on the fourth section of this course. And we're talking about keeping the team on track. We commend you to like, to comment, and to share to others who are preparing for their project management exams. Also remember to subscribe. It helps us to grow and to bring the service to more people who are out there looking for how and where to learn. Thank you. All right, the very first thing you need to put together, you need to have to keep a team in place is quality leadership. That simply put, quality leadership. The next one that you need to put in place for a good team is to look for ways to measure and promote team performance. The next thing you're going to have to be strong at doing is to address, remove impediments, obstacles, and blockers. You're going to go on to talk about issues of managing conflict, because wherever two or three people exist or coexist, there's going to be conflict. So how do you manage the conflict in the interest of the team? Next on the line will be learning how to collaborate with stakeholders. You see, there's a repeated pattern from day one up till today. And what's the repeated pattern? Stakeholders seem to keep coming, repeating itself all across the learning curve. Is it 7th or 8th is to monitor relevant stakeholders. Monitor them. Why do you need to monitor relevant stakeholders? To be sure that stakeholders' interest changes in the course of a project. I'll give you a very good example. When you were a child, a baby, just your mom's interest was in getting you fed, clothed, and then good security around you. As you grow a bit older, like you've got into your 20s, your mom's interest in you has changed from giving you food, clothing, and then a shelter to trying to help you succeed in life or make the best of yourself. You see interest changing in the course of the project. It's a very similar case. Then the next thing is apply emotional intelligence to promote team performance. Okay, we're going to talk about all of these, and you're going to see them as we go along. So let's continue. The very first thing, leading a team. Let's see, what does it take to lead a team? To lead a team, let's start with the traits of good leadership. A good leader has a strong personal ethics. A good leader also is someone who has a high level of integrity. What's a strong personal ethics? Take for instance, if you're someone who runs, and then you get every week, you say, I'm going to cover at least 5 kilometers every week, and I'll do it on a Wednesday by 8 to 9, A great person, a good leader, come rain, come sunshine, will not break that trait. He will follow through with his regiment, because why? He regiments himself for his overall success. I think it was Mike Tyson who was asked a question and said, why do you love working out? And he said, I don't love working out, I love to succeed. Very interesting way of putting it. I don't love working out, I love to succeed. So a leader is someone who loves to succeed, and because of that, he has very strong personal ethics. Integrity, let your yes be yes, your no be no. That's very clear. And trustworthy, because if people cannot trust you, they won't want to do your bidding because they don't trust where you're coming from. Traits, good interpersonal skills. Your ability to connect with people on a one-to-one basis is something that good leaders have. A strong communicator. I think all of you have read and you've seen that great leaders, the likes of Nelson Mandela, the likes of, call their names across all regions. You've got one or two great persons, you know, where Obama is also another very good one, were great orators. You know, when they speak, it could resonate with people around them, you know. Great communicators, great collaborators too. Look at the likes of Bill Gates, collaborating with literally every nation, literally every person of repute. He's happy to collaborate with you for the interest of global concerns, you know. And they're also motivators, people that could motivate you to do good things. And a good leader is also someone who can conceptualize and analyze. I'll explain that in a bit. It means you can conceptualize an idea, as in you can see it, something that every other person cannot see, and then you analyze it, you break it down into bits and pieces, and then start running towards the overall big thing, you know. Now, a project manager is someone who is visionary. He must be visionary. It means he has a clear vision about where he's going. Now, he has to be able to communicate this vision to other stakeholders. Now, he has to also be able to promote teamwork and collaboration. So get other people to work along with you. Not a one-man army, but able to harness the energies of other great people around them. Then the third one is that they have to be able to remove roadblocks. What are roadblocks? Roadblocks are things that try to stop or frustrate you or the team in the course of the project. A very simple roadblock to bring to the fore, it's a quarrel between two persons in the team. That could be a roadblock. Approvals. So that's a great leader. He has to be able to pull out those roadblocks and allow for a smooth sail. Now promote the project's mission and vision to inspire the team. So you inspire the team by promoting what the mission and the vision of the project is. Now, one of the great things you need to take home today is the fact that there are different leadership styles. And we'll get to see these leadership styles in a bit. Now, as a leader, it's great to be a leader, but you also need to remember that you need to adapt your leadership style as you deal with different kinds of stakeholders. I think we touched on that when we're doing planning. Take, for instance, when you're speaking to your bosses, when you're speaking upwards, you reduce the tone, needs to be more friendly. When you're speaking downward, it's not like you should be bossy, but you should be more firm so that they know that there is an urgency around what you're doing. What are the skill sets as a PM that I need or I need to take to heart as I take my journey into exercising fully as a PM? One of the skill sets I need to have is the power to facilitate conversation, because like when you go into trying to understand scope, you have to facilitate conversations, interviews, brainstorming. You need that power to facilitate that. Now, conflict management. I said that already. You need to learn how to manage conflict. I will show you a few tips today on how to manage conflict. Cultural awareness. This is one big side. If you're approaching any project management exam or you are planning to practice in the industry, you must be very aware about cultural issues. You see, we all come from different parts of the world, and there are different values and beliefs that we all have from across our different zones, families, and religions. So when you manage people from different parts of the world, you need to be aware that these interests exist all around. And because they exist, there are some words I may not say when I'm in class. Now, I'm going to tell you a very simple one that I use to make examples when I'm in class about this issue. Now, every one of you know the thumbs up sign. Do we? Any feedback? Do we all know the thumb up sign? Thumbs up. Hello?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Thanks, guys. Now, if you know the thumb up sign, I hope you know that the thumb up sign means a complete different thing in France. If you give someone a thumb up sign in France, you mean my hands into your ass. I'm sure you don't want to go try that. Now, but in America and in the West, that's biggest in the Americas and Canada and all that. The thumb up sign just means a chair on, keep going. But it means a complete different thing in France. That is a very simple example. So you need to be aware about these differences. There are also other ones. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is decision making. Now, whenever you are a leader, you are actually tasked with the issue of making decisions. So you need that skill set. Meeting management. We would spend a great deal of time here today. Negotiations, networking, observation, servant leadership, and team building. So for today, we're going to run through all of these skill sets as you build yourself into the world of becoming a project manager. Let's go. Now, what is it exactly? Because sometimes we have a boss in the office and then we say that's the leader of the corporation. No, he may not be a leader. He may just be a manager. You know, we not always need to remember that there are differences between what leaders and managers. For me, the biggest difference between a leader and a manager is that a leader challenges status quo. They asked a question, what can be done better? How can it be done better? A manager naturally accepts status quo. Naturally, everything is okay. Let's just manage what we have. No, that's a manager speaking. Let's manage this. Let's manage the people. Let's manage this. Now, one thing about a leader is that if you leave him in a place in 6 months, by the time you come back to that place, he has made changes to that place. He has added value to that place. If you leave a manager in a place, what he will do for you is he will keep that place the same way you left it. If you left it 100%, you come back and meet it 100%, he will polish it, clean it, make it look clean and tidy. And it will look exactly like the way you left it. But a leader would shift the ground. He will shift the limit. So he inspires and he helps others by his desire to make changes, to bring value. He inspires others, you know? Now, a leader does the right thing. A leader will do the right thing, but a manager does things right. Why? What's the difference? Most likely than not, a manager has someone he's reporting to. So because he has things people he's reporting to, he's somehow indebted to do things right in accordance with plan, in accordance with status quo, in accordance with what is required of him. However, on the flip side, a leader does the right things. What is right to be done, he goes ahead and does it, not in accordance with any template that has been given to him. You can spend time and flip around the remaining other things and you would appreciate the differences between a leader and a manager. One of them is more focused on visions. He conceives the vision and he pursues it. Another one seeks toward focus on operational issues, day-to-day issues, how to make the processes better. That's it. All right. Let's begin to have our journeys. The very first thing we're going to touch on today from the journey that we've already picked out, it's diversity and cultural competency. Diversity and cultural competency. Use a leadership approach. So you will need 4 things to be what to show your competency around the issue of diversity. The very first one is leadership. The second one is motivation. The third one is mindfulness and communication. When it comes to leadership, there is a leadership style for every stakeholder and for every situation. I have promised you that as we go down, you're going to find out different leadership styles. You know, there is also, so you have to learn how to apply different leaderships to different situations. Now, when it regards motivation, you're going to be looking out for what exactly motivates the people that I work for or that work for me, stakeholders. What exactly motivates them? Now, at different ages, you know, different thing motivates us, you know, and you need to know what are the ages of the people that work for me, because if you know their ages, you will know what motivates them, kind of. If you understand their culture and the job roles, then you will understand what motivates them. And the next one is the fact that you need to be mindful of individual and team aims and working relationship. Be mindful of individual aims. I have a reason why I'm there. There is a team reason why a team is put together. And then I need to make sure that I also am aware about how to make every human work together for the purpose of the team. So it's a very close touch that you're going to have to do there. Then the last one in this regard is communication. When you speak to understand. You seek to understand. So you want to understand how your staffs, your team members, and other stakeholders want to be treated. You know, you want to know how they want to be treated so that you can treat them in that direction. So that level of openness to learn and to communicate and to engage builds trust. And that level of trust also will help you in the journey as a PM. The next thing I must touch on today is servant leadership. What is today's topic really all about is keeping the team on track, making sure they don't lose touch with the work that they have at hand. Servant leadership. This is the practice of leading through service to the team. You're serving the team by focusing on understanding and addressing the needs and development of team members in order to enable the highest possible performance. There are 2 key words there. You are leading through service. So you're not just like you're commanding others, go and do this. You go and do this. You go and do that. No. But you are walking alongside with them. What are we doing today? Where can I be of help to you? And where can I be of help to you? You are showing understanding that they could need help. And you are also going ahead to address the needs. Oh, you're feeling tired today. Would you want me to pair someone to work alongside with you so that we get the job done? Is this something you can you pull it through? Understanding and also addressing the needs of these people. How do you get yourself to excel as a servant leader? First and foremost, you need to learn to facilitate rather than manage. When it comes to management, you will just give an instruction. I want this thing to be done by 2 o'clock. But in facilitating, you are engaging. What are you up to today? Do you need some help? Can I work with you along on this journey? Okay, that's fine. You document. Okay, let me help you. Or let me get someone to help you. Moreover, you could also come across this way. Are you aware that you need to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this? So you are making the person, helping the awareness about what they need to do. So you're facilitating the energy, giving the person the right energy to go ahead and do his work. Coaching and training ties in very nicely to what? Facilitating. You're coaching the person. You know you have to do this. If you have any problem in that regard, let me know. Let me help you out. Now, remove work impediments. All of these are very linked together. If you have any problem, let me know. Oh, I learned you had a bad day yesterday with Susan. Can we speak after today's work hours? Removing work impediments, then focus solely on the what? On accomplishments. Try and focus on accomplishments. In 2 weeks, we need to get this done. That's it. Now use emotional intelligence and other leadership methods to motivate your team. We're going to see all of that pan out. As a project manager again, you need to learn to challenge status quo. The big question is, why do I need to learn to challenge status quo? Big question. The reason is, if you really are passionate about delivering value, all that you care about is to deliver value, then you need to be able to challenge status quo when it does not solve the problem. To say, I don't feel the way we are going on this project will help us to deliver the highest form of value. That's it. Now, what are the things that help you as if you want to challenge status quo? Past experiences and past processes. Let them, those things could guide you. Be like, the last time we did this same thing, we did not arrive properly. We did not get down. It didn't go down well for us. Let's not go down this route again. Commit to a growth mindset. Commit to a growth mindset. You know, I think the best person that has written about growth mindset, if you have the time, I could just suggest a book for you to read. It's called Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck. She's a doctor. She's a professor in Harvard. Carol Dweck. The Dweck is spelled D-W-E-C-K. You can check her out. Growth mindset is when you are always willing to learn and to make adjustment. You know, some people, when they fail something, they feel completely devastated. But some people, when they fail something, they feel, that was another opportunity to what? To learn and to improve, you know. So don't feel that you've lost it. Have that spirit of, I can adjust the journey and keep going. Let me check what's that. Can you just write the name here? All right, I'm going to type it in for you, Carol. Okay, I'll drop it for you in the chat. Remind me after class. I'll do that for you. Okay, so growth mindset. The next thing is what? Discover the best approach through challenge and introspection. You know, my best way of explaining this is introspection is this. If you, most of you will be quite really very young, but at least you've seen your dads. You have a father or someone, a male figure around you. Now, do this for me. Go back home and ask them a question. Why is it that when you shave your beards in the morning, by the next morning, you start feeling the growth? Throughout the course of the day, you don't feel the growth. But by the very next morning, you begin to feel the growth. What happens at night? Now, whenever you go to bed to rest, your body goes into a time of what? Transformation. It just rests and starts recreating itself. And in a bid to recreate itself, it starts sending out new beards where you had lost yesterday, because it feels you lost it. It's like, no, let's get you some more. You know, that's introspection. Whenever you go back into yourself and begin to ask the right questions, why did I get this wrong? What can I learn from it? You know, you will recreate yourself all of a sudden. Another interesting book, I can't get the author's name right now in my head, but it's called The Art of Journaling. The Art of Journaling. It's a very powerful book. It helps you to learn how to what? Introspect. These are just off the shelf. You can check them out. Now, avoid complacency and blind acceptance. I hope that's very clear. Complacency just accepts anything. No, don't forget you need to learn to what? Challenge status quo. All right. Another good skill for me as a PM that I need to take up is what we call the 360 view of stakeholders. When we did planning, we've talked a great deal about understanding stakeholders. Now, you need to very well understand your stakeholders. Now, look at it. What do I need to understand about my stakeholders? There are different tools that help you to understand your stakeholders. One of them is called the salience model. Salience. It's like a set, the set theory in maths. One of the sides of the set is called urgency. The other one is called power. And the third one is called legitimacy. Urgency, power, and legitimacy. So you put all the your stakeholders in those boxes. Which stakeholder is urgent? Which stakeholder is powerful? And which stakeholder is what? Legitimate. Now you're going to find out something. Some of your stakeholders are not going to be only urgent or powerful or legitimate. They're going to be all. So it means they will stay at the very here. If you can see my screen where my cursor is pointed to. And those are the stakeholders you need to manage very closely because they have all in one, those ones sitting at this point. Now, there are some other ones who have power and they also have what? Urgency. When you're done managing these ones, the next people to pay attention to in the order of priority are the ones what? Between order, power and urgency because they have power and they have urgency. Now, the next person to also pay attention to after that is the guy who just has only power and is legitimate. Anybody with power is powerful. Simply put, they can actually destroy, make or mar the entire project or even your stake in that project. Now, the next thing also you need to know is that there is what you call the power and the interest map. I think we touched on some of these in when we're doing planning. The guy with the biggest power and the highest interest in this regard, it's the lady called Jane at the top right corner is one person you must manage closely. Manage her closely. Now, if you're preparing for your exams, you need to know exactly where your stakeholders fall into. Now, also, if you are doing your projects, you should be able to identify your stakeholders and capture them in a stakeholder map. Where are they in your power? Where are they in your interest mapping? You must be able to capture that. I would love to see those kind of conversations and tell us how much you want to manage them, how you want to, what's the stakeholder engagement plan that you want to use to engage your stakeholders, perhaps based on their what? Their interest or based on their power, based on their urgency, based on their legitimacy, and based on their power. I hope that makes sense, guys. I'm going to give you hints now about your project. All right. Okay. Also, in managing a team or keeping your team on track, you need to have what you call team building ability or team building skills. Now, you see, they said no tree makes a forest. No one tree makes a forest. And only drops of water make what? A big ocean. What it means invariably is that there needs to be a very good level of cohesion and solidarity for a great team, you know. So it's your work as the PM to facilitate these conversations among your team. And how do you do it? You do it by what? Helping the team create activities that will build trust, empathy, and focus. So you make the team build activities or engage in activities that will what? Build unity, build trust, build empathy, and also build what? Focus on the team. All right, good job. Now, the next thing we need to also remember, guys, is that one way to keep people together is to give them some form of rewards and recognition. Rewards and recognition. If you don't recognize people, they most likely will what? Feel like you don't appreciate them. For this class, for instance, we've taken out pains to recognize Abdurrahman as our most chatty fellow who doesn't talk. He only drops chats on the group. So that's a recognition that he's going to get at the end of class. Okay, now that's one. Now, so that's rewards and recognition. What is the difference between rewards and recognition? Rewards are tangible. You know, I'm giving you, let's say, a new property. That's a reward. It's tangible. Now, what have we done? In recognition, we just recognized Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman is just a joke. Don't mind, we're just playing with you. So we just recognized him, but it's not tangible. There is nothing to attach to it. Now, a specific outcome or achievement is achieved. Within rewards, the person has to have a specific outcome. Let's say it's a race, and you just won the race, you get a reward. So there's a specific action that you have to engage in to get a reward. Now, but in recognition, like we just recognized recently, it's a behavior rather than an outcome. I hope that makes sense, guys. So a particular consistent behavior is what makes us give you what? That recognition. Is Ijerin in class? Not sure we've heard from her in ages. Now, a reward also has a start, finish, and a fixed time. So there is a start date, there is a finish date, and there is a fixed time. So let's use a race, for instance. There's a start time, there's a finish time, and there's a fixed time in which a race has to stop. A recognition is not exactly tied to time. So that's why it's a behavior and it's over a period of time. Like we said already, rewards are given when a goal is met, but the other one is actually tied to what? A behavior. So usually not, and recognitions are largely not expected. They're not actually expected. You don't really expect a recognition. Like Abdurrahman did not expect a recognition today, but he got one all of a sudden, you know? Okay, it's just a joke, my friend. So now, one thing you need to know about rewards is that whenever there is a reward, there is also a recognition. Now, if you reward someone, like if we were all having a race, and then you rewarded the person with what? A gold medal, and then you would also give, most times, those gold medals you see them give in Olympics also come with what? A recognition. So gold medalist winner for what? The year 2022. However, a recognition may not come with a reward. Like we've recognized Abdurrahman now, but we've not given him any commensurate reward for that recognition. I hope that makes sense, guys. I hope that makes sense. All right, let's keep going. So we've dealt with the issue of leading a team. Now we're going to deal with issues of what? Supporting a team. How do you support a team? To support a team, you need a few toolkits to go about that. The very first toolkit is what? Use team building activities. The next toolkit is what? Using what? Key performance indicators. The third one is building what? A healthy culture. Now, a healthy culture is a culture where people have what? A sense of responsibility to the work. Everyone has a sense of responsibility to the work, even when they have some levels of autonomy. Does it make sense? So you have a sense of responsibility. So and then you have your autonomy to what? Exercise, do your work the way you want to do it, but you don't want to undermine the interest of the group, of the team. A team structure and workplace, a decent team structure and workplace. We're going to touch on that later. An environment that empowers others to speak and to make decisions will also be supportive. Imagine you worked in an environment where you don't even have a voice. You'll be looking for the next job because it doesn't just sit with humans not to have a voice. Conflict management, an environment, a toolkit where you are able to manage conflicts around you. And the last one is assessing performance. It's good to note that team building activities can be formal or informal. They also could be brief or extended. You can actually facilitate it yourself as a PM or get someone to facilitate them for you. Let's start with the toolkit, the very first toolkit when it comes to what? Supporting a team. The very first toolkit is what we call the key performance indicators. Every one of us, either you've had a short spell working somewhere, or you've had an internship, or you currently work somewhere. And if you look at it very critically, there is a key performance indicator for where you work. Now, these are called metrics used to evaluate the organization's progress towards meeting its goals and objectives. A metrics used to measure an organization's progress towards meeting its goal and objective. It's usually defined by the organizational leadership. Let me give you a very simple one. If you're running a provision store or a cooperative society, co-op shop, now, one of the things you may want to measure may be something like, how much have we made in sales today? You see, that's a key performance indicator. How much have we made in sales today? That's a very simple one. Now, you see, when it comes to key performance indicators, it helps everyone to know how close are we to what? The organizational objective. So if I ask you that question, you said we've made $7,000 today in sales. However, our target daily is to make 11,000 Naira in sales, dollars in sales, whatever denomination. Now, the interesting thing is that you will quickly realize that you have a gap of $4,000 to cover to be able to what? Completely meet your target. Now, that's it for key performance indicators. Now, these indicators could be formal and they could be informal. Like the one we just touched on now, it's very informal. It could be something that everybody just knows, you know. But it also could be very formal. Like in some institutions, they have a scorecard, like a dashboard. As you're getting into those institutions, you are seeing a big dashboard that tells everyone how far the organization is going. Sometimes it even cascades into individuals. So you now have what we call individual scorecards. All right, cool, let's keep going. Now, team performance assessment, it improves team members' interaction. If you know you are being assessed, it will improve your interaction because you will be looking for help from your colleagues so that you don't fail. It helps to resolve issues. You know, if you know that having a quarrel will cost you time and will make you, if you have a quarrel with your colleague, it might affect your scorecard. You would just quickly want to resolve issues faster in the interest of the group. You know, it helps you in dealing with conflicts. I've touched on that also. It improves team members' skills and competency. When you know you are being measured or your desk is being measured, I'm now cascading it right down to you. When you know that your desk is being measured, I'm telling you, you will go all out. You will look for ways to solve problems just to get your scorecard to be up, you know. And then performance assessment tasks. What are the tasks that you will go into as a PM when you're measuring others? You're comparing performance to goals. Comparing performance to goals. You are reclarifying roles and responsibilities. So perhaps in the bid to assess someone, you realize that the person has deviated from his core functions. You will now help him to reclarify it to him or her and say, come, your real role is this. You know, that you've been deviating and you need to stop doing that. You deliver positive as well as negative feedback. Equally, when you are doing performance assessment, you are able to assess people and tell them, come, you've done well or you've done very poorly. You discover unknown or unresolved issues. That's pretty clear. It helps you to create and monitor individual training plans. So it helps you to create and to monitor individual training plans. Because, yeah, I think that makes sense to you also. I said it earlier, that you can cascade an organizational KPI into individual ones. And lastly, it also helps you to establish future goals. Any questions before we continue? My guess is as good as yours. All clear, thank you. All right, thank you very much for the feedback. Great, thank you. All right. Performance tracking techniques. How do I track performance? Now, one of the easiest way, which is something that you would find as, if not the most common in whatever environment you find yourself, is the area of money. I used an example. I said, how much sales did we make today? Very easy way of tracking performance. So the monetary value of work contribution is another way of supporting and measuring performance. Monetary value of work. Monetary value of work. Pretty clear the way I explained that earlier. Okay, now other ways that we can use to measure techniques is, there are a few ones I will touch on for today. The Kanban board. I remember every one of us, we've done the Kanban board, and we said it's a visual aid that allows us to what? Pull work from what? Left to right. It's a very visual aid that allows us to what? Pull work from left to right. And every one of us could see how that could help you to what? Measure performance. Yeah, that was during planning. If you forgot to revisit the planning video, I'm sure you'll be able to remember a lot of things that we said there. The next one is the one we call the throughput metrics. Throughput metrics. This is called the measurement of the team's work that has moved from one stage to another stage over a certain time. Now, the throughput metrics and the cycle time, it's very similar. I'll tell you the difference now. The cycle time measures work that has moved from what? Plan to completion. So let's say in terms of this training now, it's moved from what? Plan, and it will be getting to completion by next week. So at the end of the next week, that is a cycle time. But right now, it is still, that's moved from what? Day 1 to day 5. So throughput metrics measures from one stage to another, while cycle time measures from plan to completion. How many of the people that we had in our plan have been taken to completion, cycle time? And how many have been moved from one stage to another? It could be from stage A to stage B, from stage B to stage D, and what have you. Quality metrics. These are basically various measurements that help to track what? Quality. You understand? It looks at issues of defect and also acceptable output. What defines value for you is called quality metrics. Earned value, I'll touch on this in more details in the next slide. Earned value, bar charts. We touched on Gantt charts during planning too. So the last one I will spend time on now is velocity. So the measurement of total output from an iteration to attempt to predict future iteration output. Let me explain that. Now, during one iteration, how many outputs did we have? So during the iPhone 13 launch, how many phones did we sell? I will use that number and predict iPhone 14 sale. Hope that makes sense. So what is the speed of sale we had in the last iteration? I'll use that to predict for the next iteration. Okay. Earned value. If you're preparing for your exam, or you want to hear one of those words, those buzzwords, you're going to be hearing a lot in the project management circle, then you are in for one of them right now, earned value. Now, this is a performance tracking technique, measuring performance. And I'll give you what the English word says about it. It says it's a methodology, yes. It combines scope, schedule, and resources. That tells you that there's a what? The tripartite triangle angle, there it's there again. It combines what? Scope, schedule, and resource measurements to assess project performance and progress. So it combines these three to assess the project performance and progress. What are the three things earned value does or combine or uses to what? Make performance guess? The three things are the planned value, the earned value, and the actual cost. I think we also had spent a lot of time explaining this in planning. Is there anyone that wants us to go over this again? Guys, Anyone asking we should go over this again in details? Tell me.
Please, sir, for me.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. One more time. Plan value, end value, and actual cost. Now, the best way I'm going to help you to get through with end value, it's the fact that, and I would love to see this captured in your project. If you can model end value, I would really love to see how you model end value in your work. Now, take for instance, that you were asked to build a house for us. Let's go with the house idea. Now, the substructure of the house was supposed to take you what? 3 in the budget, in the authorized budget, in the document that they asked you to do. The substructure of the house was supposed to take you 3 weeks. Please note those things down now, 3 weeks. So the 3 weeks now is your PV, planned value. Because planned value speaks about schedule. It says the authorized budget assigned to a scheduled work. So the 3 weeks, the time to do the substructure is what am I saying? Sorry, I've mixed it up. The time to do the scheduled work is called 3 weeks. Now that 3 weeks now is actually what we call the end value. Why is it the end value? In 3 weeks from today, we hope to end a substructure of the house you are building for us. Did you get that? Did you get that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
I want to be sure we're together. So please don't leave me. Let's work together around this. Okay. So in 3 weeks, we're supposed to end, or I'm looking to end the substructure. So that 3 weeks becomes what? End value for me in terms of time. Now, but if you go ahead and you do that project in 2 weeks, instead of in 3 weeks, what you have done is that the 2 weeks you have done is actually called the planned value. 3 weeks was the end value where I looked forward to earning a substructure in 3 weeks, but you gave it to me in 2 weeks. So you have made the project ahead on schedule. But if you had gone on to do the project, so that means that end value, 3 weeks, minus planned value, which is 2 weeks, it's 1 week. And because it is greater than 1, I have earned 1 more, I am ahead of schedule on that project. Now, in regard to cost, let's say that in the 3 weeks, in that same substructure, that work the work was given to you for $10,000. However, you have spent $12,000. What I looked to earn from that work was $10,000. My mind was set that the substructure will not cost me beyond $10,000. But you have actually you've actually done it for what? $12,000. So you have made me behind cost, because end value of $10,000 minus actual cost puts me at a variance that is negative. So I'm on the loss. I will actually plead with you, because we really took time to explain this in the planning section. Go back to that video. I think I shared the link of that video. It was on Google account. Please go back to that video and try to digest every one of these things so that you don't miss it, because this is a conversation you're going to hear repeatedly around the subject of project management. Let's not spend so much time there again. So that's the formula I was trying to read out for you earlier. Build it up to this point. Check the planning video. It was very detailed. we had a very interesting discussion around it. Okay, team structure and workplace. Team structure and workplace. Now, what I want to bring to your attention about team structure and workplaces is the fact that I don't know if you've ever gone or resumed at an office or went to work or to school and there was no chair for you. They were planning to bring in a chair for you and a laptop for you. So they had not set up a place yet for you that you can function. Or you have not gotten the right uniform yet. Something, if you've ever had that experience, you will know how awkward those first 1, 2, or 3 days feels, either in a new school or a new workplace or what have you. You know, now there is an environment that could demotivate performance. That's what they're trying to tell you here. So you need to not just let's get the work done, let's get the work done. People need to have the right structure and workspaces to be able to get the work done. So team environments could be physical or could be virtual. The team environment could be physical, it could be virtual. You have to factor in the environment that will help promote team performance. So how do I effectively engage a virtual person without that person losing the energy that he or she should have around him or her during the session? You have to foster meaningful interactions. Now, there's what you call work visibility tools. I had already started talking about it during planning. Work visibility tools. The work visibility tools, like one very good example is the Kanban board, will help team members who are geographically dispersed to be able to know what are they doing right now, what can I engage on, and what have you. You know, now foster meaningful interactions and respect agreed team working hours and practice. I'll touch on this because if you are attempting an exam, this will also come in very handy. Now, a very good way to have a healthy workspace for people to coexist happily is when you say, we will meet here by 12, and you are also there by what? 12. And you say, we are going to leave this place today by 5, and you're also ready to leave that place by what? 5. Not 1 minute past 5, not 10 minutes past 5. The reason being that people have a lot that they get to do with their time. And whatever you're doing that will not help them, that you might conflict with if they plan to be there for 5 hours and immediately leave that place for somewhere else, then you're going to bring discomfort into their system. And that way you will destroy the fluidity that is going on in that place. I'm sure if you've ever worked with anyone who does not keep to time, you will understand what I'm talking about when it comes to what? Respecting team working hours and practice. Another good way to understand it is you're working with someone and the official opening time is 9 o'clock and the person strolls in by 9:30 and he keeps doing that every day with excuses. It wouldn't be long for you to feel upset. Team structures and workspaces needs to be what? Good enough for people to what? Coexist happily. What other thing will help me to support and bring out the best in people? I must be willing to what? Empower people. What does it mean to empower them? Allow them speak. Whether they are virtual teams or they are co-located teams, they need to be allowed to air their minds. What's your opinion on this? We would like to hear your opinion. Let's know what you would love us to do. To empower them to communicate, to bring in their word, contribute their quota at every point and from anywhere. Empower them to make timely decisions. Now, some people have a very micromanaging spirit. They literally want to micromanage others. If you do that in a project, you won't benefit the project. So there are some levels of, most times, organizations give people levels of relations, levels of what decision making. So you can make decision up to this point. You can make decision up to that point, and all that, that levels of decisions. Encourage the team's sense of ownership. That way people feel what? They have a sense of ownership. Now, encourage the team to foster collaborative work and decision making. You know, encourage that. What do you think I should do at this point? Even when they don't have to reach back to you always. And prioritize team unity. More than the friendship you have with one or two persons. Let it be always about what? Team unity. Okay. What other things do I need to do or need to be aware of to support my team to succeed? Autonomy and teamwork. Now, there are very many people, very many. They don't like to work when someone is looking across under their shoulders. They just hate it. They feel micromanaged. And the project management body of knowledge is big on this, that you need to give people some sense of autonomy, which I personally feel is absolutely correct. Give people some sense of autonomy, and then, but however, let them also have a shared understanding on where their roles meet with others. So you have autonomy, I have autonomy, each and every one of us have autonomy, but we also have a shared sense of responsibility towards the project, so that I will not use my autonomy against you. However, I will use it for the interest of the entire group. It enjoins that every project manager knows when to interfere. In general, people work more productively when they are granted autonomy. We've said that. Include the team in what? Clarifying, prioritizing requirements. Split requirements into tasks. Estimate efforts. Estimate efforts. Keep the tone positive and fluid. Let the tone in the house be positive and fluid. Establish a culture of fluid communication and engagement in a workspace that promotes what? Positive interactions. It makes leading and managing a team easier. When all your teammates are friends, that's a fluid environment. Very empowering. Team development is a process which can progress and regress. I'm sure you know that. Acknowledges diversity and promotes inclusivity. You are enjoined to acknowledge diversity and promote inclusivity. Bring them together, bring them on. Those who have, let's say, minorities in your team, bring them on, encourage them to be part, encourage them to speak, empower them in one way or the other, so that it will encourage inclusivity. It requires trust, communication, and respect. You have to build trust. They have to be able to trust you. You have to learn how to communicate and engage with them. And you also need to earn their respect As we earlier touched on, one of the strongest ways a PM can earn respect is through servant leadership. And it takes a great deal of effort. So you keep making the effort at every point in time. It says use team building activities to influence diverse individuals from many functional areas, each with their own goals, needs, and perspectives, on the need to work as a cohesive team for the good of the entire project. What other thing do we need to take on today? We need to take on the fact that we need to manage with objectives. What is managing with objectives? Using clear objectives for a more productive and driven team. It means you have to be clear. Where are we going with this project? What are the deliverables in 1 week? What are the deliverables in 3 weeks? You are very clear with the objectives of the project. Set objectives collaboratively with the team. A good way to identify objectives, I think we've touched on this in our last 2 classes, that people buy into what they are part of. So if you plan along with the team, it's easier for them to buy into that thing than if you plan alone and just ask them to do it. So set objectives collaboratively with the team. Create challenging yet attainable objectives. Towards the end of this class, you would realize why we said you should create challenging. When people are not challenged, they don't give their best. That's the secret. When people are challenged, they give their best because why? They stretch. It's that stretch that brings value into their lives. We will look at the theories of motivation, and then you're going to see why keeping challenging objectives in there is very key. However, when we say challenging, it also needs to be what? Attainable. Like you wouldn't ask them to go to space when they are not Elon Musk or they are not Virgin. So you let it also be attainable. Conduct objective setting from the very start of the project. It means you need to be clear what you are doing from the very beginning. However, also throughout the project life cycle, it's like an iterative planning session, something you will keep doing. You will keep finding, we can add this as another objective. We can add this as another objective. Another way to support a team to be successful, it's through the use of feedbacks. We cannot overemphasize the need for good communication. And feedback is crucial for any team. Using this, no matter the methodology that they are using, feedback is very crucial. So you need to give and receive. You need to give. As a PM, you will give, and you should also be ready to also receive constructive feedbacks freely. Discover the most appropriate and timely means of feedback. So you need to actually discover for yourself what feedback measure works the most. I think when it comes to giving feedback, I'll tell you, I don't know if you've ever heard the rule of a sandwich. This is just for practice, really. There is a rule of a sandwich that says, when you're giving a feedback, say something nice at the beginning, then say the good part of the person, then hit the person very hard with the bad sides, then now end up with what? The good part of the person again. So that way the person can chew the bad part without feeling bad, So it's like a sandwich kind of thing. So talk about what the person has done well in the past, the bad thing the person has done, then again, wrap it up with all the good things the person has done before. That's a good rule of thumb when you are giving feedbacks. Okay, supporting the team to succeed. Another way to support a team to succeed is reporting. reporting. I think most of you may have heard or you are aware that you cannot do well or excel in anything that is not measured. You cannot excel in anything that is not measured. So one way to put that measure, or one way to manage or keep track of what you are measuring, it's using what? Performance reports. There are different types of performance reports. The very first of them is what you call information radiators. Information radiators. What are information radiators? A very simple way to understand this is, and every kind of visual board, that helps you to put the story of a project in it, it's a visual radiator. Like a Kanban board, every of the boards you see here, other charts you see here, are all, in a nutshell, information radiators. If you want to understand it further, when you go on Google, just go to images and just type information radiators. You will see that literally all kinds of charts would populate on Google. So every kind of chart that helps to tell the progress story of any of a project are called information radiators. Another interesting one is the burn down charts, burn down and burn up charts. Literally the same, just one is going the opposite way. A very good way to understand the burn down chart, it's pretty simple when you look at, if you are someone who loves to run and you run for an hour every day. So literally you can say for an hour, at the beginning of the race, you have 5 kilometers to go for an hour. Let's say 5 kilometers to go. So at the beginning of the day, before you start the race, the kilometer sign will be on 5 kilometers. So the first mark on the graph, will be what? I think we've done this well in planning. Yes, we've done it in planning. So the first mark on the graph will be what? 5 kilometers. As you keep running, and then you get to the finish point, the last mark on the graph will be what? In terms of kilometers, it will be what? In terms of time will be what? 1 hour. That's the first. But time will reduce to what? 0. While kilometer will move from what? 0 to 5. I hope that makes sense. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Can anyone remember the burn down chart? Can anyone remember the burn down chart? Okay, for the benefit of those who have forgotten literally most of the things in planning, can you see my screen? Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Now you see, let's say the hours at the beginning. Okay, so this is a simple burn down chart. At the beginning of the day, hours was what? 200. But as the course of the day, the hours are reducing, so it's burning down. It's burning down. Literally the same thing, some other charts will burn up. We did this. Please go back to the planning video. I'm happy we had that particular copy saved. Go back to the planning video and engage with it. You would see a whole lot of things that we had done on that day. Okay, so I've switched my screen back. So the next thing we're talking about is what? Earned value management reports. We touched on that earlier today. So the whole analysis of earned value. Another thing you will find in details in the planning video. Please engage with it. Now, and variance analysis too, we did variance analysis too, which is end value minus actual cost. Please go back to the planning video. Everything is there. I would love to see your ability to model end value in your project. I think it will bring it to spice up your work. I would really appreciate that. Okay, work performance report. A physical or electronic representation of work performance information compiled in the project documents. It's intended to generate decision, action, or awareness. What's the easiest way to understand this? Work performance report, just reporting the work you have done. Just report it. That's it. What's the power of this reporting? It's very good because it's going to inform the next person. It will generate decisions. It will also generate actions, as in help you to make actions, and also what to keep you aware, informed. Quality reports, charts and reports based on quality metrics collected. Again, planning video, there is a lot on quality reports in that video. Dashboards. A dashboard is simply a collection of number of charts that tell the whole story of your journey. That's simply what a dashboard is. A physical or electronic summary of the progress, usually with visual or graphics to represent larger data sets. Let me see if I can pull a simple dashboard for you and share one with you right now. Okay. If you're on your laptop, I'm just going to share a link with you. It's a simple dashboard. Every one of you can engage with it. And that's for a PMO. All right, that's it. Paste it on your board. See if you, but for now, you can play with it later at your own convenience. But for now, just paste it there and then see what a dashboard looks like. I'm sure most of you already know what dashboards look like, but just for the benefit of, for knowledge, that's what it looks like. Okay. If you have questions, you can meet me on the chat room later. We can always talk about dashboards. Let's keep going. Okay, where are we now? We're still looking for ways to support team performance, supporting team performance. Now, one of the other things that we can bring to bear when we want to support team performance is the idea of what? Retrospection and lessons learned. Now, what is retrospection and what is lessons learned? Again, I'm very confident we had a great deal of work in this regard in our planning video. What is retrospection? Retrospection is what you do when you finish an iteration during Agile. Remember, a retrospection is the last ceremony of Agile. There are 3 ceremonies of Agile, for those who've forgotten: the sprint planning, the daily scrum, and the word retrospection. 3 ceremonies of Agile. Now, and the 3 ceremonies of Agile, the last one is with retrospection, where you sit back and analyze to see how we did our work in the last iteration. Was it good? Was it bad? Were there mistakes? That kind of conversation is what you do during retrospection. And because Agile is made of incremental stages, so you do a little, you go back, you rest, you retrospect, you do a little more, you go back, you rest, you retrospect, you do a little more. That's why retrospection in Agile has, you see the guy is carrying 3 boxes, which means he was involved in 3 what? Retrospections. That's 3 iterations also. And then in predictive, it's one lump sum because it builds the whole project first before they get into what? Lessons learned. they now publish one single lessons learned. Whichever way you go, what we're talking about right now is what? Supporting team performance. The knowledge, the insight, the experience that you've garnered from these lessons learned during retrospection or during at the end of a project or a predictive project, all of these will come in handy in supporting the team's performance. Now, for Agile, it could support the team performance in the next iteration. It could also support the team's performance in that same project and what have you. So the knowledge, the things now, knowledge you've gathered will be very good to take on. One of the things we need to remember in supporting teams is what we call the Tuckman ladder. Everything that we said are pretty much commonplace. When I mean commonplace is the fact that there are things you can relate with from your organizations, from your work. This one you need to think a bit about it. But I'm going to give you a very simple code that you will never forget. It's called the FSNPA. FSNPA. What is the FSNPA? Forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. FSNPA. Now, if you want to better understand what the FSNPA really means, then let me just guide you on a very little journey. When you all first arrived in the university, most of you were coming from different colleges and all of that. When you all arrived, you started going into what you call forming. What is forming? You started talking to people, strangers, really, talking to them. And then before you knew it, you guys got into, sometimes you got into quarrels, issues happened, and all of that. So storming, you were storming with each other. With some, you were able to apologize and take on the relationship, and you got into a point called norming. You guys became just friends. You understood yourself. You just clicked. That's the word. You clicked. And once you've clicked, you get into another level called performing. At that point, the energy to perform is always overboard. You just want to go out, you call out your friend because you guys are, you know, you're just, how do I call it? You guys are just, you've gotten to that point where you guys just flow. That's the word, you just flow. And let's say that you finish in uni and you've gone back, you've left that school, that friend is no longer there again. You now have to adjourn. You leave each other after that project. So let's read the text just to understand it a bit more. The forming stage is the phase where team members meet and learn about the project and their formal roles and responsibilities. Team members tend to be independent and not as open in this phase. Remember, when you were at school, you would understand that also. You're not very open. Now, during this stage, the team members begin to address the project work, technical decisions, and the project management approach. If the team members are not collaborative or open to differing ideas and perspectives, the environment can become what? Counterproductive. It means at this point, a bit of what? Brushes begins to start. Let's move to the next one, norming. In the norming phase, team members begin to work together and adjust their work and habits and behaviors to support the team. The team members learn to trust each other. That's the word now. They learn to trust each other. Then they move into what? Performing. Team members at this point, they are well organized, they are independent, and work through issues smoothly and effectively. Make sense? In this phase, in adjourning, in this phase, the team completes the work and moves from the project. This typically occurs when staff is released from the project as deliverables are completed or as part of the closed project or phase process. I hope that makes sense for everyone. Any question in that regard? FSNPA, FSNPA. All right. All clear. Thank you, Joshua. Okay, let's keep going, guys. Address and remove impediments, obstacles, and blockers. Address and remove impediments, obstacles, and blockers. Now, what are impediments? What are obstacles? And what are blockers? Can you see on the diagram, there is the flow. The flow diagram is changing because something is causing what? A detour. Impediments, obstacles, and blockers. What are impediments? Situations, conditions, and actions that slow down or hinder progress. Situations, conditions, actions that slow down or hinder progress. Now, one of the very simple ones here could be the fact that what? The team could not agree on a solution. That's a conflict, an internal conflict. Now, those are impediments. These are things you can solve. It's possible to solve them. Now, look at the next one, barriers. Barriers that should be able to be, barriers is something you should be able to avoid. Something you should be able to avoid if you use some effort or a better strategy. Things you should be able to avoid if you apply some effort or a better strategy. Now, what's an example of this? Construction could not begin before, can't begin before permits are granted. That makes sense. It makes sense. You cannot start a construction work until the permits have been what? Granted to you. Okay, so let's keep going. Now, what's the third one? Blockers. And if you look at the obstacles, it's something we can handle. If we had planned properly, we would have been able to stop that. We should have gotten the approvals way back before we got into the project. Now, the last one, blockers, are actually things that are completely out of your control. These are events or conditions that cause stoppages in the work or advancement. It completely brings a halt to the work. A good example of blockers for me would be COVID-19. That's a very good example of what? Blockers. A company has halted the use of its product until a new contract is signed. A company has halted the use of the product until a new contract is signed. It's out of your control already. So those ones are out of your control. The other two, impediments and obstacles, are within your control. One takes effective planning, the other one takes effective team management. But the third one is completely out of your control. I will reiterate that. The very first one, impediment, will require a good team manager or leader. The second one, obstacles, will require good planning and strategy. The last one is out of your control. However, you might make some negotiations to get those ones out of the way. Okay. How can I identify these impediments and forestall them from what destroying my work? How can I identify these impediments and forestall them from destroying my work? Nice question. Now, tracking impediments as they are addressed, tracking impediments as they are raised, addressed, and resolved to ensure communication and oversight. Sorry, I'm not a very good reader when I'm teaching, but I'm trying, because you guys don't want to come in there and help. All right, everyone has gone into hiding. Okay, now there are different ways you can actually track impediments and try to curb them so they don't raise their ugly head. And one of the ways to identify and curb impediments before even they happen, or when they happen, is when you use assessing the product backlog. Now, let me give you a good example of how this works. If any of you is into journaling, and then you write what you want to do in the course of the day or in the course of a week before you get into that week, you would realize something. The more you look at that list, the more you know the ones that will need you to do something else before that one can happen. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So the one that will have, and there will be an issue will come from this particular one. Maybe I don't have the right skill set. I might need to call a friend to come and work with me to go to that place or to do something with me. That exactly, assessing the product backlog will reveal somewhat impediments for you. So what to be done is also called product backlog. We already know that. So like I said, assessing that will help you to do what? Find out what what issues I'm about to face in the course of this project. Now, the next thing that we need to also listen to or pay attention to is called the daily stand-up meeting. Now, for those of you who were with me when we're doing the Agile class, you know that the daily stand-up is one of the ceremonies in Agile. I keep trying to reiterate this word so that it echoes back into your system and you don't get to forget them. And the first ceremony in Agile is what? The sprint planning. The second ceremony is the daily stand-up. And then the third one is what? Retrospection. Amazing. Now, one of the things you need to remember is that during the daily stand-up, people talk about their problems. So they say what they have done, what they did yesterday, what they are going to be doing today, and then the current challenges that they have. Are you there? Now, those current challenges that they foresee or they currently have are things that could be what? Impediments, obstacles, or blockers. So during those meetings, you could identify what impediments are on the table, what blockers are on the table, or perhaps what obstacles are on the table and needs to be dealt with. Now, the third one is risk reviews. You see, impediments, blockers, and obstacles are literally about the same thing as what? Risk. Things that they could be classed as risk too. Yeah. So when you have done a risk register, you can study the risk register and begin to realize where are the possible risks, where can possible risk emerge in this work. And some of these risks may cause what? May become impediments, they may become blockers, or they may become what? Obstacles, so that I need them in the board. Now, in handling impediments, as a servant, in handling impediments, you must approach it as a servant leader. I gave you a simple example that one of the simplest impediments is just having a brew between people. two people are having issues within themselves, you wouldn't go there trying to be like, you don't do that again, and you do that again, I will beat you or something. No, you have to go there and do what? Pay attention. Listen to what this person is complaining about, what the other person is complaining about, and try to help them find middle grounds as a servant leader. Aim to clear an obstructed path, like I always say, in the interest of the team. In the interest of the team. Focus on the work, not on individuals. Remove distractions, and also what? Make sure that you address all impediments. All of them must be done in the interest of the team. Hi, I'm sure you're still here with us. We're talking a lot about people skills here now. Conflict management. What is conflict management? It's the use of a strategy, one or more strategies, to deal with disagreements. You see, the biggest part of your work as a PM is dealing with people. Trust me, it's dealing with people. You know, and conflict is something you cannot, it's inescapable for you as a PM, as you get into the world of a project manager. You cannot escape the issues of conflict. What are the causes of conflict in projects and even in organizations? Competition. One person wants to get a hedge over the other person. What are the issues of the cause of conflict in a project again? Differences in objectives, values, and perceptions. You see, each and every one of us has our own objectives. We have our values, what we value, and the way we perceive life. It doesn't necessarily mean that my perception is better than yours, or that yours is better than mine. No. But because I perceive things in a particular way, I might pick a quarrel with you that yours is not even as good as mine, when in essence, yours might be better than mine. So you need to be aware about this. Disagreements about roles, role requirements, work activities, and individual approach. Now you see, everyone also has the way they approach work. Sometimes the way I approach work might not be something that you might like yourself. So you might disagree with me. I don't like the way you work. Yeah, it doesn't mean that yours is better, but because you don't like it, we all can disagree. And then the last one is what? Communication breakdown. There are some people that are so bad, they don't know how to communicate anything. So they just keep working without saying a word. And the other person feels slighted, that you're not really talking, you're not saying anything, you're just doing your thing. And then they pick up the quarrel from there. Okay. If conflicts are managed properly, they bring improved understanding. They also allow for better performance. Now, on the contrary, if they are not managed properly, they allow for what? Destructive behaviors. They brood what? Animosity. And you know, when there is animosity, poor performance is also at the corner, and then productivity goes at an all-time low. If you guys were all lovers of football, then I would have given you a very good example for last season. But for the benefit of those that love football, I think Manchester United is one of the greatest teams that has ever come across on earth yet, in terms of football, in terms of achievements and all that. But with all their greatness and the quality of players that they parade, they could not do well last season because there were a lot of conflicts in that team. You know, when you have star-studded players, yet you cannot succeed, then you know there's a problem with that team. So a lot of conflicts. Okay. What is your role? What is your own role as a PM? While all stakeholders are responsible for managing conflicts, your job is to heavily, mark the words, heavily influence the direction and the handling of conflict. So simply called, your name as a PM is synonymous with conflict manager. Use interpersonal and team skills to ensure positive results when handling conflicts. It means that in handling conflict, the end product should be what? Positive results. In agile projects, you facilitate conflict resolution while the team is empowered to resolve conflicts. Why is the team empowered to resolve conflict? We touched on this during execution, but let me reiterate for those who have forgotten. One of the core values of Agile is a motivated team. Motivated team means a team that wants to succeed on its own. Now, if I am someone that wants to succeed, and a quarrel happens between myself and Joshua in the course of the work, you know, I don't really need too much someone coming to talk to us too much for me to resolve the issue. Because why? I know I might need him again on the team. I need him on the team. I need his support for me to succeed. I am passionate about succeeding. He is passionate about succeeding. Because we know that we will need each other to succeed, it's easier for us to what? Go back and tell each other, my friend, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it that way. It's okay. Let's forgive ourselves and continue. You know, these things happen. Because we are motivated. But if you're working with an unmotivated team, then you might be in trouble because they may want to keep the hots to themselves and allow it grow cancerous and burn down everything, and they don't care. So as a PM, it's your work to what? Facilitate. You just tell them, see, this thing will hurt you here, so it will hurt you there. All of you, let's go and get the work moving. And also, please remember that you have to do this as a servant leader, not going to detect to this one, say, Mr. A, you are the problem. Mr. B, you are the problem. No, that's not the way. Get to understand them and help them make their what? Resolve their differences. All right, cool. What are the techniques that I need in getting this done? Number one, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence. This is the buzzword you hear every day on the streets, the workplace, in school. So that guy does not have a very good emotional intelligence. We're going to spend time to learn a bit about emotional intelligence so that we know you can now evaluate yourself and say, do I really have much of it? And do I need to increase what I already have? The power to influence. Leadership, we've already explained this earlier, and then decision making. All right, let's go. Conflict management approach. Remember, I promised you that we'll get here very soon. There are 5 conflict management approaches. 5. It means if a conflict happens, there are 5 ways you may want to address any conflict. And here is the first. It's called forcing and directing. Now, in this one, what you are basically doing is that you are pursuing your own viewpoint at the expense of whoever. So you are telling them, I want all of you to move now. Leave this place and go to the next place. That's force. You're commanding. That is a voice of command. it always only offers a win or lose situation, because it's either I am winning and you are losing, or you are losing and I am winning. Does it make sense? Force and direct. When you force people, you don't really care what they feel. You just tell them what you want them to do. The next one there is the compromise to reconcile. You are searching for solutions that partially satisfy everyone. Looking for soft grounds for everyone. Compromise or temporarily to partially resolve the conflict. Sometimes compromises provide temporary succor. Might not be permanent, really. Now, smooth and accommodate. Now, some agreements really, you will realize that the people already have, they literally agree on 80%. So the difference is only on 20%. So you help them to reestablish the points of the agreement. So you agree on this and you're like, yes, you agree on that, yes. So you emphasize on the area of agreement. And you help them to concede places. So you now tell them, for this 20, can you concede 10? And you concede 10. So that way we can have a healthy 20 and then add it and make up the 80. They concede places for harmony and for a good working relationship. The one I find interesting is called the withdraw and avoid, which is the one that most people seem to practice in our own generation. Withdraw and avoid, which is when you just avoid a situation, just withdraw and avoid a situation. You just withdraw and avoid it. You don't want to talk, you don't want to make any comments. You just post in your mind, you're like, I beg, just, you guys should do as you like. You withdraw. Now, the last one is the one you call collaborate and problem solve. You collaborate and problem solve, which is to incorporate multiple viewpoints, enable a cooperative attitude, open dialogue to reach consensus and commitment. That's more engaging. That will take you more time, but you're bringing everybody to the table to try to get what everybody's 100, Okay. Make sense, guys? I hope you're together. We've got 40 more minutes and we can do this together.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. For the rest of you, just let me know if there is anything that I have missed that you need me to just revisit before we continue. In the absence of none, I'm going straight in. Check your chat. Fine for me, all good, awesome. Now, one thing you can agree with me perfectly today is the fact that today, keeping the team on track is a very people-centered activity, very people-centered. Now, the next side of the people that we're going to do, the first side was supporting the team and all of that. Now we're going to talk about collaborating with stakeholders. You see, I keep reminding you, and allow me to do it one more time, that whenever you assume the role of a project manager, you have two teams. The first team is the team working on the project, the product, the service that you're trying to create, or what have you, or the result trying to create. Then the next team you need to manage closely, the same way you're managing your direct team, is the team called what? Stakeholders. Like I keep saying, if you fail in managing stakeholders, you might mess the entire project altogether. All right, so how do you collaborate with stakeholders? This seems to be a repetitive trend. Collaborate with stakeholders. And one key thing that I keep finding here is when you collaborate with stakeholders, you engender trust, you promote collaboration, and then you get a more productive work. And you get a more productive work. All right, let's move to the next thing. How do you get to engage stakeholders? What you need to remember whenever you want to engage stakeholders is the fact that you need to employ the stakeholder engagement plan. Stakeholder engagement plan. Remember this plan when we were planning stakeholder engagement. Now, what a stakeholder engagement plan is? Who are my stakeholders? What are they to me? Do they have power? Do they have interest? What do they really want from me? How often do they want what they want from me? That engagement plan will help you to engage them appropriately. And if you can get that right, you can get them to collaborate with you. Now, the next thing you need to remember too in engaging stakeholders is that you need to be what? Organized. Organized. Like we talked about earlier, time boxing. If you said you will be here by 10, be here by 10. You said you'll be here by 3, be here by 3. People don't like you to toast them up and down. Or be organized. The next one we need to talk about is the fact that what? Be open to collaborations. You know, sometimes just invite them over. Come along, come and see this with me. Give me your own feedback. Give me your own feedback. That's the power of what? Collaboration. All right, let's keep going. Now, what does collaboration mean? Optimize the understanding of aims and expectations through open dialogue and meaningful communication. What does that mean in essence? Talk them through what your expectations, what you want them to do for you, how you want them to participate. So aims and expectation. Talk them through how you need them to be of help and what you are willing to bring to the table yourself. Let them engage them on it. Let them be aware, because you see, you can't ask for them to engage or to collaborate when you've not even extended a hand of fellowship to them to say, come join me, let's do this together. Accept, you need to also learn to accept that every person's involvement and engagement level may fluctuate during the project. That's a very important thing. You see, today I might be with you for 7 hours. 5 years down the line, I may not want to be with you for even 30 minutes because I may be on a different project and that is completely affecting my time. Does that make sense? So accept that every person's involvement and engagement level may fluctuate during the project. So understanding that balance, that rhythm, will make you not to put pressure on them when they are not coming through for you. You know that perhaps they are engaged at the moment. Whenever they are free again, they will come back. Keep discussions transparent to ensure stakeholders are knowledgeable and the expectations are set. So you need to be transparent so that they are aware, they are knowledgeable, and they know exactly what is expected of them. Leverage communication and interpersonal skills, feedback, and meeting management to maximize feedback loops and stakeholder engagement. I think the last line engages everything that we've touched on. Communication, interpersonal skills, feedback, meeting management to maximize feedback loops and what? Stakeholder engagement. Put all this together and get the best out of them. Now, what are collaboration activities? In collaboration, nearly constant engagement is recommended. Mark the word, nearly constant engagement, nearly. However, it has to be based on the frequency of engagement as informed by mutual needs and expectation. Like we said, you had to, should have planned for what? Stakeholder plans. So you should have said, what is stakeholder, what do you want? And he tells you, so you document that in what? The stakeholder engagement plan. So you will now take that forward. Are you there? Now, activities that encourage regular collaboration include, now, these are activities that can help you to what? Foster good collaboration. Daily stand-up meetings. Particularly, you know, the team you have is also one of your stakeholders. So daily stand-up meetings will help you to do what? Get them to be what? Quite collaborative. Now, 2, co-locating teams for face-to-face communication. There is a power of co-location. There is a power of co-location. So the more people are co-located, they might foster more face-to-face conversation, and they might get themselves into more, they might become more friendly than if they are what? Geographically dispersed. Now, scheduled sessions such as milestone reviews, backlog grooming sessions, and project update meeting. One of the sessions that we've already scheduled is a project review. In that meeting, you don't have a choice. You have to come forward and engage with everyone. You see, that's collaboration, you know? So now, guys, just to give you a heads up, when your colleagues are speaking, you will take notes. You will review them. Everybody will send their reviews to me. I will compile the reviews and feed all of you with the reviews that were sent for everyone. So you will now take the review. I'm not your reviewer. Your colleagues will review you what they thought they should have seen in your project that they did not see. So they're going to compile it and I'll load you with your review. So that's where you would also get more out of it. All right. Let's keep going. Mentor relevant stakeholders. You see, most of these things are just repetitive patterns. If you've been following us up till this point, it's still about the same thing: engaging, communicating, good body language, and what have you. Now, interact with relevant stakeholders. Interact with them, engage them. Examples of how to interact with relevant stakeholders include when refining backlogs, mentor the product owner on the best practice. Now, when you are refining backlog, why do you refine backlog? I'm going to throw that question back to all of you. Why do you refine backlog? Why you refine backlog is perhaps based on the market need is stronger for something that we did not really value at first. Or what, we cannot really afford this particular feature at the moment. Let me give you a very good example. Maybe for most of you said you support different group sports. Good. Now in group sports, every group sport, they buy players for the group sport, everyone, whether it's rugby, whether it's cricket, whether it's all of them, they buy players from different places for their own teams. Now, you might have priority. Maybe let's say you want to buy player A, player B, player C. Then you now want to buy player D, player E, player F. But because of the market, there is a lot of demand for player C. And because there's a lot of demand for player C, the price of player C has gone triple, which is completely out of our budget. The next person that can complement the guy in C is player H. So we will bring player H and put him up in where C was and take C out completely because we can no longer match that budget. So our priority now will be for what? Player H instead of, and so the priority changes. H goes from where H was and goes into where C was. So there are different reasons why you reprioritize. But when you are reprioritizing, you need to let the product owner know, this is why I had to reprioritize. Now, when onboarding a new team member, guide them on the team's process. So a new team member is coming, let him be aware or her be aware about what the processes is in this team. If he or she is not aware, then it might also affect, what do you call it? The way he might come in with a different spirit, and it might not be something you guys might want to might enjoy. When a team member must purchase materials for the project, show them the procurement best practice, which means that you already have a best practice. So you are showing them, this is the best practice. We would enjoin you to follow this practice so that you don't get yourself into trouble. Okay? Coach and mentor others to help them improve. Why do you coach and mentor? To help them improve. It also helps to raise team abilities and increase their output and value. Does that make sense? It helps to increase their output and value. Increase the knowledge base and skill sets of all project stakeholders to promote successful and effectively managed project. Start mentoring relevant stakeholders in the project and expand your mentoring reach throughout the organization. It means everyone in the organization needs to be aware of what you're doing, how you're doing it, and what you look to achieve. I'll take a break here and take questions if there are. Okay. Are we all good? Thank you, Joshua. You've been very supportive. Yes, Marwa, thank you too. Abdurrahman, great. Thank you, guys. All right, let's keep going. Okay, Floxy, thank you. All right, cool. Sure, we're fine. Now, you can actually mentor and coach as a group, and as well, you can as well mentor and coach individually. Pretty basic. You can either mentor and coach as a group, or you can mentor and coach individually. Now, in mentoring and coaching as a group, everyone gets to learn when you demonstrate the best way to complete a project management task. Okay, all right. All right, Martina, that's fine. Call out and explain actions and their causes or motivations. Allow others in the group to contribute and guide the practice. The entire team will learn as a unit. So as a group, you mentor so everybody can learn as a unit. Likewise, you can go ahead to what? Mentor individually. When you're mentoring individually, one thing you are doing is you are giving people opportunities to grow. The next one is you're transferring skills, you are modeling behaviors, and you are facilitating what? The right conversations. All right, let's keep going, guys. Okay, again, literally, again, we come to the issue of explicit knowledge. Who remembers the word explicit knowledge? Anybody wants to jump in and tell us what explicit knowledge means? Explicit knowledge, anyone? There are two kinds of knowledge. Who is coming in? Who wants to help out? Okay. Without having to wait so that we don't waste, we have very little time. Explicit knowledge is actually, there are two kinds of knowledge. There are tacit knowledge and there is explicit knowledge. Tacit knowledge are knowledges that you cannot explain. Explicit knowledge is the knowledge that you can explain. And these are the knowledge you can teach people. Tacit knowledge is bigger, is 95%, while explicit knowledge is 5%. Please, guys, go back to the videos that we did and try to listen to it at least once before you dump them so that you can refresh on these things one more time. Now, share explicit knowledge with individuals while performing tasks. This still talks about what? Mentoring and coaching. They keep reiterating on the fact to what? Mentor and coach. Now, also train and share plans. Let's read a few of the texts around here. It says, encourage self-organization and initiatives, facilitate opportunities for others to participate in project management tasks. So you are helping others to get into the work. Coach individuals on how to contribute to other project roles. So you are coaching people, not just on the roles that they are working on, but how they can also help out in other roles. Why? Because that's where you are building a robust team. If someone in the other team is not around, that person who was supporting in that team has learned some things and can go on to support that team through. All right. Lead formal training sessions. Have formal training sessions. Pass on and practice skills with people. Demonstrate the desired skills and best practice. You as a PM needs to demonstrate it. You are the first picture that they see every day. So if you're not demonstrating it, then no one else can. No matter what you teach them, they won't take it. They will take the copy they see in you. Self-organized teams coach and mentor each. Self-organizing teams coach and mentor each other every day in their work. Self-organizing teams are teams that are very motivated, like agile teams. They are very motivated. So they literally can coach and mentor each other in the course of their work. Now, you have to, preparing for the exam and you see any question that talks about training and sharing plans. One thing I must tell you, and as you also prepare to launch out, is this: you have to train and share your plans. But it's not just like you share the plans when you want to. You have to do it literally every other day. You have to set the time to do it. You have to be formal, whether formally or informally. You must be intentional. You must be intentional. And some of the tools that you would use to help you train and share with others are the tools of retrospection, the lessons you learned during a retrospection or during previous projects. You're telling them, come, the last time we did this, we got this result. Last time we did, we got this result, and all of that. Schedule training sessions to formalize mentoring and coaching. You have to schedule it, set time for it. Okay. Facilitation, transformation skills. What is facilitation? I think we've touched deeply about all of these, really. Facilitate conversations and also be eager to transform people. It means if you are leading a project, people should not be the same as when they met you. So if they started the project with a particular knowledge level, by the time they leave you, let their knowledge level have exceeded where they came when they joined your team. So you must be ready to facilitate those capacity growing sessions in the people. They must be better. Feel free to read that at your own time, but it's pretty much what we've done over and again. All right, emotional intelligence to promote team performance. Let's spend some time on emotional intelligence before we close today. Okay, what is emotional intelligence? This is the high point of the whole people skill thing. This is the high point. Now, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence, it's a three-pronged practice or lifestyle. The very first of them is what we call self-awareness. It's personal to you. You are aware about yourself. It's personal to you first. You have to first deal with yourself. Then the second one is what we call self-regulation, which is the way you react with external things. The third of them is motivation, 3 areas. So now you're going to go measure yourself based on these 3 areas: self-awareness, self-regulation, and then motivation. What is self-awareness? Emotional awareness. You understand your feelings. You are clear about your feelings. You perceive connections between feelings and behavior. You understand what is the difference between your behaviors and your feelings. You recognize how your emotions affect your performance. You understand it. You understand that very clearly. You are conscious of values and goals. That's emotional awareness. You are very aware about where you stand about a lot of things. Now, it also covers the issue of what accurate self-assessment. You understand what your strength is and what your weaknesses are. You are becoming aware of blind spots. You are becoming aware of blind spots. There are many people who have no idea what the blind spots in their lives are. No idea. So that you find them in a lot of arguments, but they don't understand that that's a blind spot. All right. They also understand what they call emotional triggers. What are the things that trigger me to anger, to frustration, to being motivated? They understand their emotional triggers. Then the third one is the issue of what? Self-confidence. Expressing potentially unknown opinions. Taking risk. What is my appetite to risk? Displaying poise, self-assurance. Having knowledge of self-esteem, proficiencies, and also being decisive. How decisive am I? Now, once you go back, please, I would enjoin you to spend time on that slide and try to measure your own self, get to know yourself. That's the way I'd call it. Then you go into the issue of self-regulation. The very first one there is self-control. Am I able to remain cool under pressure? Can I stay focused in a stressful environment? Can I control rash and destructive emotions? Now you can go around all of these and have some fun with it. Trustworthiness. Just go around this. I'll send the slides to you. Go around all of these and just try to ask yourself the question, where do I stand in all of these areas? If you are a 10 over 10 on all areas, then you have a very strong emotional intelligence. But if you don't, then maybe it's time for you to begin to work on those little gaps that might be spoiling the whole meal. Okay. Now, what are the third prong is called motivation. What are the things that motivate people? Now, the things that motivate people, sometimes you might think it's salary, but you would soon realize that salary does not motivate. In short, I think 3 or 4 years ago, there was this research that showed that people were happy. It was done in the US. So people who earned up to, if people were having salary increments until they got to about $70,000, $75,000. So if your salary was $30,000 and then they raised it from 30 to 40 or from 40 to 50 or to 60, that it affected the happiness level in the people. But that once people reached the salary scale of $75,000 per annum, really, no increment in their salary on its own could affect their happiness level. So their happiness were not tied again to what? Money. So money is good, but not entirely the reason why you are happy. So what are the things that motivate people? 4 things are captured here, and we're going to get to see why these are the 4 biggest things, really. 1 is commitment. 2, achievement and drive. You know, if you are being paid a very decent salary, you get making money, but you're not achieving anything, your name is not written in gold in anything, you don't still feel satisfied. Initiatives. If you're also getting very well paid, but you are in a place where you're not allowed to make your own initiative, to create your own little brand out of it, you're also not going to feel very satisfied. And then optimism. Now, the feeling that one day I will succeed, one day I will get it right, one day my name will be written in gold. If I keep doing this thing, if I keep fighting in the WWW, one day I will be the biggest thing in WWW on something, or in UFC. That optimism is what keeps people happy and motivated. We're going to touch on that a bit more. You can play around with the interpersonal and team skills. We've touched on all of that really in the past. So empathy, looking inward, empathy, looking outward. Please spend time on this slide and engage with it so that you understand what empathy looks like. I really want us to move into, and then listening, I want us to move into social skills. Look at this also. These are things that we've spoken about, so I don't want to spend time here. I want us to stay here before we leave. Organizational theory. Now, this is the study of how people, teams, and organizations behave. How people, how teams, and how organizations behave. Now, why do you need to understand how people and teams and organizations behave? Because you are managing a team and you belong to an organization. So there are 3 organizational theories we're going to be talking about today. So let's see how much we can learn from those theories. The very first theory we would spend time on today is the theory of a young man called, not really young, but a guy called Maslow. It's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. What did Maslow say? Maslow said that human needs are in different stratas. The very first of human needs are physiological. What does physiological mean? It means very basic. Look at those who are fighting the war in Ukraine, for instance, in is it Yemen or in Somalia? There are quite a lot of issues all around the world. What are the biggest deals for these people? It's not a Bugatti, it's not a Lamborghini, it's air they want to breathe, water to drink, food, shelter, sleep, clothing. And then the last one, which was recently added by the UN, reproduction, which is sex. Basic needs, very basic needs. You see, once you have settled, once you now have food, you now have water, you have food, you have clothes to wear, you now don't want them to steal the little clothes that you have. You now start looking for what? The next level called what? Security. So you now look for security. Security from what? They should not steal my little clothes. They should not steal my little food and water. Okay, security with what again? The source where I make my little money for food. I don't want anyone to come in between it. Security. Once those areas have been established, I now have security on my food and my water. I have security over my everyday life. The next thing I'm looking for what is love. Now you want to have people come and eat with you at home. You want to have friends you can call and just go play football together, have some time with them. Now, when people have gone through all of that, the next thing they want is self-esteem. What is self-esteem? They want to be recognized in their communities. They don't want their name to just be written as Mr. They want to have one title on it. They want to have some recognitions around their life. Self-esteem. But when you've gone past that point, where recognitions are no longer your problem, you get to a point where it's called self-actualization. The desire to be the most that one can be. And that is where the likes of Elon Musk have gone into. At that point, you're just doing things, not because you want a name again, you already have a name. You're just doing things as they give you joy, as they come into your heart. So that was what Maslow was saying. And why are we learning this theory? We're learning this theory because you need to be aware. The people that you are leading, where are they on the what strata of life? Are they on the first level? If they're on the first level, then giving them basic needs will be enough. If they're on the second level, then giving them some form of security would be enough. If they're on the third level, then giving them some form of love and belonging will be enough. And all of that and all of that. So understanding this organizational theory will help you in your leadership. I hope that makes sense to you. If you're writing your exams, you need to know these laws. Okay, and in dealing with people, you need to understand these laws. The next guy we're going to be looking at is a guy called Frederick Herzberg. Herzberg said that there are two-factor theory. He said it is called a two-factor theory. He said that people, that you have what you call hygiene factors, hygiene. They are just good. And you have what you call motivational factors. Now, working condition, co-workers' relations, policies and rules, supervisors' quality, wage and salary, and even status, all of that are what hygiene factors. They are good to keep people there. However, what really motivates people is achievement, recognition, responsibility, the work itself, advancement, and personal growth. Now, it's good that you understand what motivates others and things that are just necessarily hygiene factors. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, let's wrap it up there and then call it a day for today. The last theory we'll be looking at today is called the Mcclellan's needs theory. What did Mcclellan say? He said that there are three, people are motivated by three things. And if you look at this, you won't see money. Money is only a tool. They are motivated by one thing, is power. They want to be powerful. They also want to have achievements. And the last one, they want to have affiliations. They want to be able to say, I am the brother of Tony Blair. That's it. Affiliations. These three things are the three things that motivate people primarily: power, achievements, and affiliations. Once again, thank you very much. I hope you picked up everything that we've said. I'm happy to take questions at the moment. Thank you very much. All right.